Right now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Good evening, everyone. This is Bob Pompeani here in the Fan Cave. 412-575-2600 is the number to call. Chris Mueller is not his usual place over at 93.7 The Fan. Technical difficulties, and now he's in the studio, and he's ready to go over there. Chris, you're going to start with that?
No. Just practicing how it looks. It looks so nice down here under the bright lights, Bob.
Yeah, it does. It's a nice setting for us to discuss what has become a male soap opera here in town. With the Olympic break and not much else going on, comes a podcast from Cam Hayward, which features Joey Porter, and pretty much all hell broke loose after that. Where Porter, and Chris, I don't know what prompted this. I have no idea why now did he go off on a rant against Ben Roethlisberger. I'm stunned by it. I'm surprised it happened now, but it happened, and so people are talking about it. And I'm sure you guys were busy up there at the Fan with it today.
So I'm not surprised. I guess, yeah, I would start by saying I am surprised about the timing. Like, it is just kind of out of nowhere in terms of, okay, this is just randomly on February 11th. You've got this going on. Okay, fine. But I do think that it was something that was connected, obviously, to this idea Porter had that Ben was unfair to Mike Tomlin with some of the podcast comments he made. I thought Ben was occasionally critical of Tomlin. I never thought it was super over the top. And I do think Porter, it's obvious, given his history with Tomlin, where Tomlin cut him loose when he took over as coach, hired him back as a coach, fired him eventually as a coach. Like, a friendship has clearly endured through that, and he felt the need to defend Tomlin. He also felt the need to defend him from James Harrison, which, by the way, Bob, that didn't make the headlines because it's not linebacker going after a quarterback. It's linebacker on linebacker emotional violence. But I thought what he said to Harrison or of Harrison was a lot more cutting in many ways. But I do think, and to get back to kind of like the overall point here, I do think that what Joey Porter said is reflective of how probably on some level, maybe not to that extreme, a lot of Ben's teammates throughout the years did feel about him. He won team MVP exactly one time. He had, remember the infamous Alan Faneca, are you excited to see the rookie start? Why would I be excited? He just had a hard time winning guys over at all points in his career. And so while I think it was pretty inflammatory stuff from Porter, I can't say that the overall kind of vibe is that surprising to me.
Yeah, maybe not, but I also know those two guys were recently over at the Hall of Honor, and everything appeared to be great. In fact, Ben Roethlisberger spoke highly of Joey Porter at that occasion. So it just seems weird to me this was brought up, and that may have been the case. But isn't it ironic that Joey Porter said, well, this is Steeler business, and you shouldn't put Steeler business. He was guilty of doing the same exact thing by bringing this business to the public so that people can talk about it. Didn't make sense to me. And quite frankly, I thought it was the wrong time, the wrong place, everything to do it. I'm not a big fan also about current players having podcasts. Ben Roethlisberger's after his career. He can do that if he so chooses. Joey could start his own if he wants. I'm not a fan of guys who are currently, because coaches talk about it all the time. Why these distractions? What do you think a podcast is going to do more than anything? It's going to bring distractions. And this is another one.
Well, I think that part of it, Bob, is these guys are all setting themselves up for post-career. They've found out that a lot of fans, frankly, don't want to hear what the Chris Muellers or Andrew Filipponis of the world want to tell them about their favorite teams, or the Bob Pompeanis. I mean, you are, of course, a radio star with Joseph Raymond Starkey, but they want to hear what I'll call company punch from the players. They just want to take whatever the players say as like blind truth, inarguable truth. So these guys have realized that. They've realized there's a lucrative market if you're a pretty good talker to get your own podcast going. I find the majority of them to be pretty uninteresting, but I can tell you who's quietly, from the business side of this, happy that Porter said all this. Cam Hayward. He was silent as a church mouse during the whole thing. I think maybe he might have agreed slightly or nodded along. Diana Rossini was there. She was just nodding along like this was all known, accepted fact. Oh yeah, I know that everything Joey Porter's saying is true. They use this, just to be clear here. Cam's people and Cam's podcast use this as the promo clip to promote the podcast.
Right.
He's not unhappy about this, and so I can.
Strange too.
Well, I think this is what happens when these guys late in their careers, in Cam's case, are setting themselves up for the next phase, and You might not like it. Other people might be rubbed the wrong way by it, but it's going to keep happening because these podcasts aren't going anywhere for these former or now current players.
I totally understand that. But again, most of these guys who have millions of dollars, I don't think need a podcast after that. I know they have to keep busy somehow. It just seems weird to me that, especially as a current player, you would do it and throw something out there like this. That's just my opinion. I'm sure a lot of people have different opinions about it. It's 412-575-2600. Call us with that. We'll also get into Pirates opening up their pitchers and catchers portions of spring training. A lot of interesting stuff going on there. We'll ask Chris if he's optimistic about this team, at least more so than the last 10 years. That's the way I feel. We'll get into that and your calls coming up right here on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. We're live tonight, KDKA Plus and 93.7 The Fan. All right, in keeping with our topic, this is our Xfinity Tweet of the Night. And it comes from the one and only AB. Ben, a great teammate, one of the best one to have. I got to earn his respect before he opened up. I'm talking, won't get his attention. I take it from 6-round draft. In other words, he appreciated what Ben Roethlisberger meant for him.
Oh, come on. I mean, those two were at each other's throats. AB absolutely.
But I appreciate a guy taking the high road here. He could have gone down a different road. What's wrong?
But we already know what road he occupied when it came to Ben. He was the AB was the first in, last out guy. Ben was more last in, first out. AB always resented that a little bit. And Bob, there's something I should have said in the opening here. And this might start an argument, but hey, this is the sports call. You and I can go back and forth. You don't like these podcasts, fine, I get it. I find many of them very, very, in fact, the majority uninteresting. That's like my biggest issue. Let's not forget that Ben Roethlisberger himself, in what was a wonderful piece of business for 93.7 The Fan, for Andrew Filipponi, for Ron Cook, later for Joe Starkey, did his own radio show that strategically ran an hour before Mike Tomlin did his Tuesday presser.
Exactly.
And he would lob the football talking equivalent of like Molotov cocktails out there at his teammates, at his coach. He would sow discord every week if he felt the need, and then they would have to answer for it. He had his own show as an active player, and that, I think in a lot of ways, did them no good.
Well, that's my point about doing it. I understand there's good stuff that comes out of it, and when you have it all originating at the radio station, that's all good business, and I get it. But, you know, I find it weird, and I would say that then. I think it's dangerous to do. I also think as a current player to start doing that kind of stuff, if I'm a coach, I would say, wait a minute now, let's not bring that stuff to the point where it becomes a big distraction. I also, in this case, don't know why it was brought up today. Like, that was a big, people have criticized, and Ben has done that. He hasn't done it maliciously on Mike Tomlin. James Harrison has been far worse on Mike Tomlin than Ben Roethlisberger.
And I thought Porter went after him even more. I thought what he said before Mike Tomlin, you weren't Debo, you were James Harrison, was very cutting. Mm-hmm. He pointed out that Cowher cut him multiple times and that Harrison's career became what it was under Mike Tomlin. So I thought all that was relevant. Like I said, though, it wasn't going to get the same kind of pub as Porter going after Roethlisberger. But, Bob, I think a lot of people are upset about this, and I want to make it very clear. There is one person, I think, that can patch all this up, okay? You need to find somebody that these guys dislike more than each other, and you're looking at them right now. So I think if we get me in a room with Porter, with Roethlisberger.
I remember when you and Porter came almost nose to nose, didn't you?
I wasn't because I wanted to, Bob, but yes, I mean, I know that Roethlisberger is not a fan of mine. Neither was Porter, and probably still is Porter. Put me in a room with those guys. I'll be the mediator. They both can't stand me, and they will rediscover common ground with each other. Bob, I can be the healing that Steelers Nation needs after a very emotional day with those two.
Yeah, it was a very interesting day, and it certainly gave something to talk about on a day when there really isn't all that much going on. So we'll see what people have to say, because a lot of people are lining up to talk. Chris, let's get to the phone lines at 412-575-2600. Mike in Bethel Park is next. Hello, Mike.
Yeah, hey guys, I agree with you, Bob. Being McCarthy's new coach in town, I think Joey Porter, whose son is currently playing for the Steelers, was a little bit out of line, and Hayward is also playing. And I agree with Chris and you guys. Once your playing career's done, I think podcasts are perfect, Bob. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, maybe they are, but I get to the point where, like Chris says, most of them are, the same. I hear a lot of the same, and there's a million of them. So I understand why people want to do them. They keep them in touch. I certainly get that because you want to be part of the game. You don't have to play anymore. That's why guys get into broadcasting. That's why Bill Cowher has stayed in broadcasting because he likes it. He's still part of the game. He's never going to lose another game in that role. But as a current player, I've always found that interesting that you could do that. And I agree with you, Chris. You know, when Ben was doing it on the radio, it was great radio, but it was also something that I'm sure Tomlin and others didn't want to deal with on a regular basis. So that's my only thing about current players who have podcasts.
Well, I mean, I can't speak out of both sides of my mouth. As a host on the station who was following that show 3 hours after Ben went on the air, I loved it. When he's saying, hey, B ran too flat of a route in Denver or whatever, Pouncey actually just did too good of a job blocking his man. Like, that was great. I mean, and it is true that these guys do the job because it keeps them tethered and close to football itself. You've got guys like the Kelceys are outliers. They're making probably hundreds of millions of dollars. But if you can make a decent living, you could stay close to the game. So many of these guys will tell you that they struggle to find purpose after playing because it's dominated their whole lives. Like that's fine. But there just are a ton of them at this point. That's kind of my only overarching thought.
Yeah. All right, let's go out to Jay in Pittsburgh. Jay joins us right now on the hotline. What's going on, man?
Hey, how you doing, gentlemen?
Good.
I wanted to ask you a question, but I want to say I'm excited for the Pirates, man. I know a lot of people aren't, but I am. And the question I want to ask is about Paul Skeens. Why do you think that American baseball don't encourage batting from pitchers? Like, I think Skeens might be a hell of a batter. He might be one of the best on the Pirates that's not being used.
A lot of people wanted him to bat last year when they were struggling to find run production. Well, I mean, it just when the DH came over, that was going to be the end of it. And there are some pitchers who certainly had advantages way back in the day. Donnie Robinson, who used to pitch here, was one of the best hitting. Ken Brett was doing that as well. But it is what it is. As far as the Pirates, though, I do agree there's a level of optimism here, Chris, much more than what I've seen over the past 10 years. Or at least this, to me, is more legitimate than the last 10 years when they tried to say, well, we're optimistic to start a new year, but they really didn't change their roster. They have changed their roster this year.
Yeah, I think, first of all, Skeens, I think, hit Wooden Bat League like one time and was very bad at it. So that's a small sample, but that's probably why he isn't going to do it anymore. There's only one Shohei Ohtani, or there was only one Rick Ankiel back in the day. And again, Ohtani's really the only one. As far as the optimism, Bob, I mean, think about it this way. They actually have signed or traded for players who objectively make their offense better. Ozuna is better than McCutchen as a pure DH. They might be bringing shovels to the field now with one of the worst defensive teams in baseball with the way they have this set up. Yeah. But Lau is an objectively very good bat compared to what they had. O'Hearn is too. And then the real excitement is they still have Skeens in that pitching staff, and they have a player in the minor leagues who might start the season. There's an outside chance on the opening day roster. And he is quite literally the best prospect, you would say, since Juan Soto or Mike Trout. And I mean, that's not an exaggeration. That's the way he's being talked about. That's what people think he's capable of. You have a guy who should be that good on paper. You should make the playoffs, unless, I guess, of course, you're the Ohtani Trout era Angels where you just kept losing 90 games with the two best players in baseball.
Not just that, but they brought in a bunch of other guys, too, at higher rates, and they got nothing out of them and didn't even come close. But yes.
Yeah, that's why there's the real excitement, because there's actually cause for it. You're not trying to talk yourself into stuff that you know is like a wing and a prayer here.
So let's say that, Connor Griffin is ready. There are those who believe that, the Pirates are going to do what a lot of teams do. I'm not going to blame the Pirates on this. They want to wait a little longer so as to, ensure that they have another year at the end of this whole thing. But if he's ready and they think they're competitive, I know it's maybe only a month or two that he may not be here, but you can make a big difference if he's ready. Do you think, in your heart of hearts, that he's going to be up here at the start of the season?
I don't think he will be up here at the start of the season because I don't think they're going to manage to get one of those, you've never played a single second of Major League Baseball, but here's $100 and whatever million contract for 8 years that buys out free agency. If they can manage to get him to sign on the dotted line for, let's just spitball and say 8 years, $160 million, Bob. 2 years of free agency, but you're going to get paid $20 million a year. It's a big risk on our part. You have financial security. If they sign him to something like that and then he rips up the rest of spring training and looks ready, he will be their opening day shortstop because I don't think they would have any cause to keep him down there. I don't think that deal is going to get done, so I do think he'll probably play 20 or so games in AAA. If he tears it up, he's going to be up here in early May.
We've seen a couple of deals like this. Jackson Churio got one. But it wasn't for over, I don't know, I think it was between 70 and 80.
His was 8 and like 84 million.
Yes.
Yeah, there's one huge one. Obviously, this guy.
What did he get in Boston? Roman Anthony got over 100.
He got like I want to say between 120 and 140. The other huge one, and this guy obviously for very serious off-field reasons is never going to play baseball again. Wander Franco in Tampa got something like 11 years, $189 million from them.
So that may be the rate that they have to start at, and I agree with you. I don't think you're going to see that going on with them. They're going to wait a little bit, see how it goes. They may approach him at some point, but it's going to cost him more if he gets off to a good start in his career. We got to take a break here. Come back, we'll talk about something else I know Chris likes, and that's golf. Pebble Beach, the wind was blowing today at 60 miles an hour at a couple of moments of that day. I want to talk about club selection some of these guys use at number 7 at Pebble Beach. We'll do that when we come back right here on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. All right, welcome back. We're talking about Pebble Beach Pro-Am. It's a signature event on the PGA Tour starting this week. The winds were up the last couple of days, but just for the record, internally here, Chris, I took Cameron Young. He's my pick. Jared Barton took Chris Gotterup, who just won last week and did it in tremendous fashion. Matsuyama, or was that Jared's pick, Matsuyama? All right, Jared did. So it was you took Gotterup, Jeremiah, and Steve Benko took Keegan Bradley. I want to get your pick, but also today, they played that number 7 hole, 60-mile-an-hour winds at time. Akshay Bhatia hit a 5-wood, 106 yards. That's all it is. Other people like Schauffele hit a 5-iron. What would you hit in that situation? 106 yards, wind blowing at you 60 miles an hour.
Well, first of all, isn't Scotty Scheffler? Did I miss it?
Yeah,
he's playing in this tournament,
We're going to pick him every week. I get it, but
no, Gotterup can flight the ball down, so he's an interesting pick, and he's been red hot. I'll just throw a dart. I'll go here, dart blindly at the wall. How about Mav McNeely? Guy who flies his own plane to tournaments. I'll take Mav McNeely. What would I hit? 106 yards, 60-mile-an-hour winds. I'd hit the water, first of all. I'd hit the Pacific Ocean.
I don't know. It may be hard to get there based on what they were using.
I would probably say that's what, a 4-club wind, 3-club wind at least. So I would probably take a 5-iron, 6-iron.
Yeah.
And
I've seen you hit it. You hit it pretty hard, but
yeah, I mean, I'd take my like 185 to 195 club, which is for me probably the 5-iron at that point. Yeah.
Well, that's coming up this week on CBS. Always look forward to that. But I played there last year. It was a bucket list. I suggest you do that too. We had a day where it was measured 112. I hit a pitching wedge, and I hit it over the green. I hit it good, but I got nothing to show for it.
Bob, I got kid number 3 coming in June, so if we don't make a big move on this very soon here in the coming months, I don't know when I'm going to have an opportunity here.
Yeah. Well, you impressed me when we played Oakmont, so I'm going to try to line something like that up again.
Let's go.
All right, Chris, thanks for coming in tonight. Appreciate that. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll do it again tomorrow night right here at 10:35. It's the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Thanks for being here every single night of the week, 7 nights. We don't miss one, and we hope you don't either.